out there. You're welcome to Minority Report Nigeria. I am Chidozie.
And I'm Walter.
Today on the episode, we want to talk about thoughts policing. Something that we think is becoming a problem in LGBT politics. And when I say LGBT politics particularly, I mean that in the sense of like the sort of dynamics that are prevalent in in LGBT politics in the West, which you then take on mindlessly without interrogation. Over here, forgetting that our problems and theirs are markedly different. I mean, first of all, we don't have electricity, they do. Let's start there. This conversation is coming from a place of weariness that in the way that we engage with people who aren't LGBT, or people, particularly LGBT, or people who don't agree with the lifestyle, that there is this sort of like slippery slope where if we are not careful and where if we don't self-interrogate, we then become the thing that we are kicking against. A quick example that comes to mind with this stuff is very recently the singer Simi, she said something on her show, which was rightfully titled The Stupid Show, that was homophobic, something that it made no sense. And rightfully, people, called her out. But then, including myself, but then after that, I just noticed that whatever thing she tweets, there's always somebody in her mentions saying you're homophobic and you're bloody, like basically just badgering her. And for me, I keep with that sort of thing, I just wonder, like, why? What is the purpose of that? Like, I think of it as giving too much power to people that they don't and shouldn't have over you. And I think it still boils down to, it just comes down to this whole culture of instant validation in LGBT politics. You're valid, you're seen, and so everybody has to validate you for you to feel whole, which is utterly ridiculous and which just can't happen. And I think that is where this whole idea that everybody has to agree with you comes from. And if they don't agree with you, oh my God, it's such a terrible thing. Personally, my own personal politics, which is not something that I am recommending for everybody, is that people are allowed to think whatever the fuck they want to think, so long as we don't fall into a place where they think that their own ideas should guide my life, right? My own thing is securing public space, right? You can think whatever you want to do in private, be homophobic, that's your business. But as far as the public, as far as the spaces which belong to all of us collectively, for the reason of us being a society as a unit, that cannot fly there. So rather than trying to coerce people into believing things that they clearly don't believe, my thinking is that the place we should concentrate is, for example, getting the police to do what they are supposed to do. What we are paying them tax to do. So a case has been reported. Somebody has, let's say, for example, somebody was extorted, or somebody had his or her belongings stolen, and then the person who stole this stuff, they go to the police station, and the person is saying, oh, but this person is gay. And the question then is like, what has that got to do with anything? In those sort of instances, these are public servants. In those sort of instances, get them to do their jobs, right? Get the court to dispense justice, and dispensation of justice is expected to be objective. So whatever the bias of the judge, that is in his pocket, that's his business. But do your fucking job in this instance. But to expect somehow that you can get everyone to change their minds, it's not healthy. And it's the sort of idea that sort of balloons into this sort of totalitarian thing where...
Very liberal.
Yes. And it's not something that, progressive politics should aspire to at all.
Exactly. And it's very important. There's something you noted about how these things, as long as these opinions are in your pockets, it's fine. You can go ahead doing what you're doing. But just as long as they don't turn into some sort of weaponization or some sort of threat on a space that belongs to everyone, or in an environment that you and I share, sure, go ahead. Be you, the hateful or the bigoted person that you want to be. And I wanted to say something relating to that. There was recently, this past few months has been all about racism. It has been reverberating all over the world, and it has been shaking up a lot of entertainment sectors. And I remember a few weeks ago, or a couple of weeks ago, this gay porn star and white was caught on camera, on video, saying that, yes, this racism talk has actually been it has been shaking up the porn industry with more and more
as it
people.
should, like, yeah, it's no surprise,
with more and more people wondering why there aren't enough black representation in mainstream porn studios.
And even outside of, like, sorry for continuing, even outside of there being no black representation, most of the storylines in porn are racist. They tend to be racist. They are very racialized and intended to play on fetishism around racism.
Oh yeah. Anyway, and that has been, like, there have been more and more questions and more agitation for and more and more questions surrounding the fact that there are more whites. There's little to no black representation in porn flicks. So then this white porn star, Ricky Larkin or something, is caught on video saying that one of the reasons why that is so is because there aren't enough good-looking black men in porn.
A white person said that. I rest my case.
It's not just that it's white. Somebody did say he should look into the mirror before saying that. But here's the thing: people were. It came down to this. Somebody said something that, why is it that in all these minority issues, when a situation arises that expects equal output by everyone involved in that situation, when it comes to the minority involved in that situation, they are expected to do the extra or to be the extra before they can get recognition? Because it was insane that this white person is saying this when there are literally a lot of white adult film performers who are as bland as a doormat, and yet they are getting work. And you're saying that is the reason why the black performers aren't getting work. But that's not the issue. The issue here is, now when that story hits the social media, I was in the comment section of a post where somebody was, and this person is queer nonetheless, was arguing that,
whatever that means is this.
Don't listen to him. He was arguing that why are black people crying black tears? That if they are not, they shouldn't whine so much. They should instead go and create their own spaces. And here's the problem. It sounds like it's very
stupid.
It sounds like before you unpack it, it sounds like a very progressive opinion.
No, it doesn't.
But here's the thing, though. Why? It's like saying if the cinema has refused to admit black people, movie watchers in, then black people should go and make their own cinemas. It's like saying...
It's actually ridiculous because, first of all, you're making a lot of assumptions. You're assuming that there aren't black people who have tried.
No.
You're assuming that this same system which is ousting them in this industry will somehow let them...
Exactly. I'm coming there. I wanted to get to the point that why do mainstream spaces, environments, why are they seen as exclusively the majority? And so if the minority can be allowed into them, they should go and make their own space. As opposed to...
It belongs to all of us.
Yes,
what exactly is even mainstream?
So
Exactly is mainstream?
That's why I needed to... I landed on what Dozie said. Like, it's important to understand that when you have an issue. If a straight person, if a heterosexual person can go to the police station to report the violation of his welfare, of his space, or stealing of his things or whatever, and the accused person cannot say, oh, he's straight, and then get the police to persecute the person who has come with the complaint, then why should you saying, oh, but he's gay, make me now somebody you target? Like, it's ridiculous. Like, the things we expect, these bigoted opinions, they are in your pockets. They can exist in your sphere, but the moment they cross from your opinion to being actionable or to being weaponized in spaces that belong to me and you, then it becomes a problem.
And even talking about bigoted opinions, I sort of feel like when somebody says something that's homophobic, for example, you deal with the homophobia and keep it moving. Like, because when it then becomes a question of like shaming the person, you can't move on from there. There's nothing to take out of that. I always like to make the distinction between guilt and shame. Guilt is, you feel guilt when you've done something wrong. So it's tied to a specific action. Shame is malignant. It's just like, it's a belief in malignant self. And you cannot do anything with that sort of, there's nothing productive that can come out of that sort of shaming. So, okay, you shame the person, you're a bigot, you're homophobe, and then what? Right? So how is this contributing to the conversation at large? When somebody says something homophobic, you tackle the homophobia, illustrates why this is homophobic, right? When you tackle homophobia and you look at the output of that against somebody saying something homophobic, and you're tackling the person, and really not saying anything tangible, it's like, what then is the point? It's really doesn't do anything for anyone, and it's keeps fostering this narrative, which is not something I even think anybody should care about, but it keeps fostering this narrative that LGBT people are snowflakes and they cannot take a difference of opinion. When you really look at it, those sort of criticisms are becoming more and more true.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with people having opinions, even about you, that you don't agree with. So long as we know where the boundaries of those opinions are, so long as we know that their opinions should not, in any sane society, have any more weight or hold any more heft than yours. Once you have those sort of power dynamics sorted out, then you know how to, organize politically. You know how to engage. But when you as an individual take your power as a person and then give your validation of self that should come from within to another person, it's unhealthy, it's not sustainable, and it creates, the sort of environment that we have where everything has to be totalitarian. If everybody has to agree with me, everybody has to agree with my opinion on things, everybody has to agree with my opinion of self. Why though? Why really?
And it comes down to the self thing. It comes down to if you are very confident about who you are, about where you're coming from, about the makeup of your person, when someone goes on a rant, like he said, address what has been said, make it about that issue at that point in time, and that's it. Do not project the impression that your validation or your humanity hinges on the person agreeing with you.
Yeah.
So I guess, and this, to be honest, this has been something. This wasn't where my head was at. If maybe like a year ago or so, it was something I had to, in light of different developing issues around the world, I've had to come to the realization that, it's as long as what you have to say does not harm me or does not create, does not impact directly into my existence, you can, it's in your
And-
pocket. All I have to do is just like move on from that. I can tell you that what you've done is wrong, and I can tell you how it is wrong, and then I can just move on from that and not wrap my existence around that.
You having to agree with, you know, and this is not to say that it's easy,
no.
or it's this a level of confidence, something you just come to, but we are creating, I think, a system that makes even coming to this level of confidence really, really hard, if not impossible, because, you know, we are in a cycle of requiring constant validation from others, and true validation can only come from within. Nobody can give you what you can't give yourself.
I know this is something a lot of people would have a thing or two to say in disagreement with. Whatever you have to say, we are, like I said, it's something that people are constantly evolving over. So if you have any opinion about what we have said that you would like to point out,
let us know in the comment section. Like our videos, share if you care. Thank you very much. Until coming away next time, I'm Chidozie.
And I'm Walter.